Well, here we are with our continuation with Michael on his interview. I believe we were talking about Midland and oil and gas and your father's involvement and all that, and your awareness of energy on a larger scale. So, why don't you just kind of.
So after being in Midland for 18 years and seeing the energy industry and all that comes out of it, I became aware of hemp and the idea of growing fuel, a crop that can produce fuel and many other commodities such as
Right.
plastic and food and fiber and hempcrete for houses and all the different things that hemp can provide. It seems that a plant that God gave us was just as useful, if not more useful, than the oil, and it's also non-toxic. It will help uh, pull toxins out of the soil. It seems like everything that people say negatively about the oil industry, this other crop that we can grow and is a renewable resource, harvest every year, can take its place and not only provide energy and food and plastics and everything else it can provide, but it can help build soil, and it can do things that people talk about the oil industry, polluting and things. This would be the opposite,
Right.
while it's still the energy industry. And my hope is that if oil continues to decline and it that people can realize that there's other ways they can continue in the energy sector, but turn their focus to, instead of extracting the energy, to growing the energy and having it grow every year and having a positive impact on the air and the water and the soil, as opposed to a negative impact.
Well, you seem to have a kind of a unique position in this whole thing. Your father's, owns is part owner of a company in the oil and gas business, and you have this consciousness about energy per se and the planet per se. What do you anticipate are actions that you can see yourself taking or thought about taking?
Biofuel is something that I've thought about a ton. Just the idea of growing fuel. So it's almost like killing two birds with one stone. You're helping to fix the soil, produce oxygen, while also providing an energy crop that can feed people, that can do so many other things. This is actually a 55% hemp shirt right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wearing a crop that I'd like to grow one day that can also be a fuel source. Whereas instead of having nylon in a shirt, you can have hemp fibers, and it can not come from a toxic source. It's I feel like humans have been running on oil for so long that there's no reason to, in that industry at least, to look around for something that can possibly do its job better. And
So, how do you see yourself? What are your direct actions that you
I would like
contemplate
to
taking?
start a hemp farm and start producing biofuel, and I would love to start, retail selling hemp biofuel, and and then producing all the other commodities that can go along with that same crop.
So, let me ask you a personal family question. Has your father ever indicated that he would provide you with some operating capital if you were to want to start a business on your own?
He has shown interest, and then I guess some of the interest faded when oil went back down and he had to focus on his job. Because I would love, one of his things for me is he wants me to do everything legally, and so growing hemp in
Sure.
Colorado
Well,
is
let's for the sake of this point, let's not talk about hemp. Let's
okay.
say, for example, you were interested in starting up some other kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think your father, just as him supporting his son, would be open to providing you some operating capital at the beginning of that business?
I think he'd be open to the idea. I guess it would depend on what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
And so, um, I mean, I definitely think he wants to see me succeed in what I try.
Of course.
And I've definitely gone through failures, but um, I do think he would help out if he saw
How do
it
you
fit.
think how can you help him get over what must be, I mean, what a contradiction for him. It's like all his whole life, marijuana's been the, terrible, terrible, terrible thing, and now this terrible, terrible thing is actually threatening the industry where he gets his, livelihood. That's pretty ironic,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's going to take some huge movement on his part. Not that it isn't possible,
Mm-hmm.
but you seem to have his ear in a good way.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely, because I mean, I was, grown up, and I remember one of the schools by my house had a drug-free sign, and it had a syringe and like an RX pill, and then